Hello everyone, I am the Techie Student and this is my iPad Pro 2020 review, a student's perspective. And I did fail the AP exam because of my iPad, so let's get started. So let's not waste too much time with the basics. I have been using this iPad Pro 11-inch 128GB for over 1 month now. The screen is a little better than 1440p. Its brightness is around 516 nits, which is fine inside, but almost unusable outside. The screen has a 120Hz refresh rate, so everything is super smooth. The A12Z paired with 6GB of RAM is plenty power for any tasks right now. You can play PUBG in extreme detail and still have 120 FPS, but you can't do that with Fortnite for some reason. The video export times and general performance is very good. You shouldn't have any performance problems. The iPad Pro is very light and very thin, which is good for portability, but it is very prone to bending, so you should put a case on it. But overall, it's a great tablet. So with the basics out of the way, let's talk about the camera. First of all, you shouldn't buy an iPad for the camera, and you definitely shouldn't use it at any public events. And if you choose to do so, it has a normal and a wide-angle camera. They aren't great, but the wide angle is pretty cool. For example, this image is from the normal camera and this is from the wide angle. As you can see from these photos, the iPad has a decent camera, but it's not breaking any records by any means. And when it comes to the new LiDAR scanner, only a few apps supported right now, and it's basically useless. The Measure app is the only app that benefits. When it comes to the operating system, there's a lot to say. While iPadOS is great, it has a long way to go. Starting with the pros of iPadOS, the Files app is a life changer. I can directly download files, music, and videos directly to my iPad from Safari or any app and save it to folders I've created. I can easily organize all my stuff using folders, and I can sync my files with Google Drive or iCloud, and submitting work or making content has never been easier on an iPad. And now you can connect external storages, microphones, displays, and more. If you guys want to learn more about this amazing and affordable USB-C hub, stay subscribed and keep an eye out. The next great thing is the ecosystem. While I don't use an iPhone, I do have a Mac and my grandparents use iPhones, so being able to airdrop files between devices instantly and messaging my friends using iMessage and playing Game Pigeon games is amazing. I can text both on my Mac and my iPad. I can easily share files. I can send a website from my iPad to my MacBook and continue where I left off, and it makes life a lot simpler. With trackpad support and the new Apple Magic Keyboard, the iPad is a lot closer to a laptop replacement. But the Magic Keyboard is just too expensive, and I haven't found the need for a mouse so far. What makes this iPad Pro so pro is the apps on it. Normal iPad can do all the things I've said so far. On the iPad Pro, you can edit images in Adobe apps like Photoshop and Lightroom. You can make 3D models in the Shaper 3D app. You can use Canvas and Google Docs side by side at the same time. And most importantly for me, with the Notability or GoodNotes app, you can replace your backpack and all the stuff in it with this iPad. The Safari browser is a desktop class browser, so it can run apps that most mobile devices can't. And with these apps and the next generation Files app put together, you can do amazing things. If you guys want to learn more about the best apps for the iPad, stay subscribed. My first problem is that multitasking on the iPad Pro is not easy. When in split screen mode, the apps are too small, and when you're not in split screen mode, it takes a lot of effort to switch between apps. When I'm working on my Mac on Google Chrome, I can easily switch between tabs, and because of the large screen and trackpad, multitasking is easier. Big problem is unoptimized apps and glitches. I get made fun of all the time for having an Android, and people say Android is too glitchy or too unsafe. And unfortunately, I've experienced more glitches on my iPad Pro in the last month than with my OnePlus 6 in the last year. For example, Instagram is not optimized for the iPad. There are giant black bars on the side of the screen. This is an iPad. It's the most popular tablet. How hard would it have been to adjust the dimensions of your app, Facebook? Another problem I experience is that when I'm using Game Pigeon, either my keyboard stops working or the Messages app as a whole, and I have to restart the app. And when I exited the Messages app, this is what happened. The time and clock is in the wrong orientation. While making this video, the iPad refused to change orientation, and now the dock isn't functioning, but a restart fixed it. Come on, Apple. Another problem I experienced was while using the Google Photos AI camera, the iPad seemed to freeze and restart. You might be saying, this is not a big deal. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong and why it's a big deal. So let's say your teacher tells you that you're going to have a test over a Google Meet at 9 a.m. about a book. So you stay up all night reading the book, studying it, maybe even getting a little creative. After hours of studying, you sleep at around 5 a.m. Then your alarm goes off 15 minutes before class, but you are sleep deprived, so you turn it off and go back to sleep. Then you wake up a little later and remember the meeting and the test you studied for all night. So you jump, check the time, and you realize you're about 30 minutes late, and in a mode of panic, you jump out of bed and go to the Canvas app, but you can't copy the code because of the format the teacher put it in. Then you take a screenshot and go to the Google Photos app and try to use the AI feature to copy the text, but the iPad freezes, then it restarts. So when the iPad turns back on, you suck it up and type the code in, but when you press the join meeting button, it says no such meeting. At this point, you accept that you have failed and you lost all the sleep for nothing. Then you text your friends and they tell you that there was no such test and the meeting was just a check-in. Then you realize that you lost hours of sleep and panicked for 5 minutes and got depressed for no reason. Who says online school is easy? Come on. You might be saying, so what, you're just dumb for doing what you did and you didn't lose anything, and you're right. Well, now I'm going to tell you how I failed the AP Calc test. So for the first question, I finished the question, I took a photo on my iPad, I edited it to make it look nice, and I airdropped it to my Mac and changed the file location on my Mac, and I uploaded it with 3 minutes left. On the second question, I did the same thing, but I didn't edit it, and when it arrived on my Mac, it was in HEIC or HEIC format, and I tried to upload it and it didn't work. I tried retaking the image, sending it again, and it kept sending in HEIC format. So I started looking for a camera app on my Mac, but there was 30 seconds left and I couldn't submit it. So because Apple couldn't have just used the norm for images, I failed the AP test. Just like the United States, they have to use their own format, their own system. Come on, Apple, come on. Like, now I have to retake the whole entire AP test. Stop wasting my time. All the work for nothing. So as you can understand from these examples, iPadOS has some issues, and they can really cause trouble. The Apple Pencil is a great tool, and on the iPad Pro with the magnetic charging system, it's effortless and very good. In my experience, the Apple Pencil works great in GoodNotes, Shaper 3D, and other apps made for it, but the default Apple apps aren't very well optimized for the Apple Pencil. For example, if you want to highlight in the Apple Books or Apple Files app, the highlight goes on top of the text, like this, while in the GoodNotes app, it goes below it, like this. For some reason, your hands are considered input, so you can't scroll. If you try to scroll, you're just gonna write all over your document. Another problem I have is that 25% of the time, the double tap feature doesn't work. And the Apple Pencil cannot interact with the OS, so you can't switch apps, exit apps, bring the notification bar down or the control panel down. While this has worked in my favor while drawing, this makes multitasking a pain because you have to keep switching from your pencil to your finger to your pencil to your finger. So you may be asking, how does an iPad impact a student like myself? Well, it's great. Taking notes is fun and easy. With the line assist feature and multitasking, it makes life a lot easier, and plus, you don't have to carry a bunch of notebooks everywhere. For artwork, animation, gaming, video consumption, and more, this device is great. But the price may be another story. This version of the iPad Pro 2020, which is 11-inch 128GB version, starts at $800 and $750 for students. And for most students, it should be enough. But for engineering students, computer science students, film students, and other demanding fields, this iPad is simply not enough. And if you aren't going to use this iPad as your laptop replacement, you might as well save $300 and get the new iPad Air and the old Apple Pencil. Or you can buy the 2018 iPad Pro. The only differences are that the new one has 2GB more RAM, it has Wi-Fi 6, it has a wide-angle camera, it starts at 128GB instead of 64, and it has a LiDAR scanner. So for most people, the old iPad Pro would be plenty and a great buy at $550 refurbished on apple.com. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hit that like button and share with your friends for the algorithm. Subscribe and keep an eye out for my top iPad Pro apps and accessories on a budget videos. I hope you enjoyed. Check out the description and tell me what you want to see in the future in the comments below.